Hey Mike, how are you?
I'm swell, Bob. How's this lovely April day treating you?
It is April. Let us take a moment to say happy birthday to my mom. It is her birthday today.
Oh, happy
Happy
birthday,
birthday
Bob's
to
mom.
my mom. She's now caught up with you. She's 75 today. Yes.
Wow. Thank you for making me feel even older. That's great.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, my dad's older than you a little bit.
Oh, well, that's good.
A couple years.
That's such a frightening feeling. You'd think that by the time you hit three-quarters of a century, you'd be used to that. Not
Yeah,
me.
well, my mom did that today. She's good. So happy birthday to my mom.
Well, good for her.
Um
That's great.
it is Thursday. It is not Tuesday, as we tell our guests and tell our listeners. We're here every Tuesday. We are here every Tuesday. We are booked out for quite some time, which I'm very happy about. And we're working on some other things. I'm working on some ways to make this program available and our interviews available audio only. Normally people are like, "Oh, I like your podcast, but I like to see video." So like people like go from like video or from audio only to video. We're gonna go the other way. So I'm gonna try and get that so that those people who are in the car can just listen along.
However, we're still working, are we not, on that flip book version of the
The flip book version,
SquadCast?
the
Yeah,
the one that you can like. It's like a triptych.
right. Well, a triptych. I
Yeah,
mean,
like
it's.
the AAA thing when you're in the car, you can just flip from thing to thing
Oh, I see.
on the map.
Okay. Okay.
The
Yeah.
the the
Wow.
youngs don't understand that.
No, but generally when I'm in the car, I'm driving. So if I were doing that, it would be big mistake.
So thanks everybody for being here on a Thursday, or watching this whenever you are. We are going to have a guest on pretty soon. Tiffany Babb is coming back to the show. We had her on a year or so ago. I don't know. It's been a long time. This is episode 138 or 9. I think 8. I'm not sure. I think I lost track. I think it's 138. Anyway,
Collect the whole set.
you can go if you're watching this. There is a on our YouTube page. There is a podcast tab, and in there is the entire collection of all of our squadcasts. You can watch them from beginning to end, or whichever ones you find interesting. We encourage you to like, follow, and subscribe. And you can always put on notify us, and then notify me, and you'll find out when we go live. But Tiffany was on before, and she's coming back to talk about her new project. Last time she was here, we talked about the Comics Courier, which was her magazine, her newspaper, her
Mhm.
comics newspaper,
It's
and
a real newspaper.
real newspaper is brilliant,
Yeah.
really well done, and that was quarterly. And now she's coming back with something called the Comic Staple. And the Comic Staple is going to be a monthly 12-page zine that you're going to get in the mail. That's going to be physical. So we're going to talk about what
Cool.
that's about.
Cool. I was unaware of this. I'm looking forward. I'm listening forward to what she has to say about it.
Yeah, yeah, it's going to be fun. Before she gets here, though, let's talk about something new. There was some. Let's talk about something good in Comicsy. So there was some news that was launched today, um, and it's called Bodega, the Brooklyn organization dedicated to the endurance of the graphic arts. So I'm going to do a little read, and we're getting this from the Comics Beat.
Hang on, stand by a second. The name is Bodega.
Bodega is the name of the organization, the collective,
Okay,
and they are
so
going.
when they're done, they're going to go and rename the Shield helicarrier, or what?
I hope so. They have the name of the collective is called the Bodega, which is the Brooklyn organization dedicated to the endurance of the graphic arts, and they're going to have the Brooklyn Expo of Comics, or BEC, which bacon, egg, and cheese. Um, uh, a 2-day festival taking place in November. So let's find out what is this? Bodega's board of directors consists of Bryce Gold, who's the nonprofit's executive director, James Tynan IV, who's the board chair, and Courtney Menard, which also includes support staff, including communications manager Christina Lee, outreach manager Paloma Hernando, and BEC panel coordinator Gabe Fowler. So Bodega's goal is not just to champion current comic artists, but to foster future creators through financial grants and programming, including readings, artist talks, and community-driven comics projects. Bryce Gold said, Brooklyn has always been a home for groundbreaking comics and their creators, offering community where tastemakers and visionary artists can produce genre-defining work. The Brooklyn Expo of Comics, we're building a curated display of what comics should be in our borough to the wider community, representing the best creators worldwide as a testament to Brooklyn's legacy, to the place where comics live and breathe.
I got to tell you, I love Brooklyn because of its history. Brooklyn was a fabulous city. It was a separate city from New York until the very late 1800s. And Tammany Hall, which was the incredibly crooked machine that ran the city, decided that all of the boroughs should get together as one, and they should run it. So they talked to the mayor of Brooklyn. It was like 1890 something. And they said, listen, we're going to put all this together, 5 boroughs and all this. And after they explained where Staten Island really is, and then we're going to make you the first mayor if you'll throw in with us, because they had support from everybody else except for Brooklyn. And Brooklyn was huge. It's a huge city.
Sure.
They needed Brooklyn. And the mayor loved the idea of being the first mayor of New York City, greater New York City. So he went along with it, and Tammany Hall got the whole thing together. Now we have 5 boroughs in New York City, and this mayor dude didn't get a job at all. It went to a Tammany Hall guy, and Brooklyn sort of started to lose its identity. It didn't really lose it until the end of World War II, when it was pretty much assimilated. I first got to Brooklyn in the late 60s. Loved the town. It still had a lot of that old Brooklyn atmosphere. Loved the history. And this show, therefore, excites me because they're right. It is in the Fertile Crescent of the comics community.
Absolutely. We have tons of friends who live in Brooklyn. There's a great comics, or there's a great art store there that our good friend Tyler Chintana runs. There's more though. We have more because BEC, or Bacon, Egg and Cheese, or the Brooklyn Expedition of Comics will debut 2 additional Bodega initiatives. The Bodega Comic Arts Trophy, or CAT, which honors standout publications presented at the convention, and the Brooklyn Annual of Graphically Elevated Literature, which is a magazine showcasing New York-based cartoonists. Future editions will premiere annually at BEC. I don't know if you caught that, but the Brooklyn Annual of Graphically Elevated Literature is bagel.
Ooh, I want a bagel. I'm hungry.
Bagel also will mean a magazine showcasing New York-based cartoonists.
Oh, that's so cliched. I love it. I got to get back to Brooklyn. I haven't been there in a while.
I think we should definitely meet up there. We'll have Baltimore in September. I think it's September this year. I don't know if I'm going to make it to New York, but a month later we will meet in Brooklyn.
Well, I know I'm not going to make it to New York because I can barely walk. Mm-hmm. So going through that, and Lord knows if I'm going to walk, it's not going to be at a Reed convention. The Brooklyn thing sounds exactly like what I'm interested in.
So
very, very neighborhood driven, very people driven. I like that.
Chris Ware is going to be there.
Uh-huh.
and Lisa Hannawalt are listed as guests, with more coming in and more announced coming in future months. But those are the first two, I think, announcements: is Chris Ware and Lisa Hannawalt. Let's see what else we got. So Mr. Fowler, which is Gabe Fowler, who's the director of panel programming at Beck, has said, can't tell you how many times my customers have begged me to bring back Comic Art's Brooklyn show, and I'm psyched to join this incredible team to keep the spirit of independent comics alive in Brooklyn. Exhibitor applications for the first annual Beck will taking place on November 14th and 15th in Williamsburg. Open on April 2nd, which is today, and I'm going to put the link in our comments. So if any folks are watching, any friends or anybody wants to go back and look, we're going to put it out there. You can go.
Let me make a request.
Yep.
I have been promising Dean for a while that we'd have lunch or dinner or something in Brooklyn, and of course, as I always do, I requested phenomenal barbecue. So if those of you who either live in Brooklyn or are intimate with Brooklyn and know the best barbecue place in the town, I want to say city, but it's not any longer. Please write us and let us know, or comment right now or comment later, because my relationship to barbecue is a lot like a junkie's is to heroin.
Sure. I mean, that's fair. It's 100% true. So again, I'll reiterate, we are looking for Brooklyn barbecue recommendations.
There you go.
And I just want everybody to know that our guest has just entered the backstage. So she came into Brooklyn barbecue recommendations, and I'm sure that's exactly what she wanted to hear. But getting back to this, I do want to say that Bodega and Beck are supported through an initial donation from James Tynan.
Well, good for him.
And yeah, I do want to say that. His statement was, "I've always loved the full and inspiring breadth of comics medium, from most mass market forms of newspaper strips and superhero magazines to the cutting edge of the indie alternative scene and the brilliant artists pushing the limits of what comics can be," said Tynan in the statement. And I'm going to give a little personal stuff. I've known James for many, many years, since I think he was doing detective. He was still writing with Scott at the time. Definitely way before Something Is Killing the Children and any of his kind of he had done a couple of the smaller independent stuff he had done. I've known James for a really long time.
Plus, he seems to own the comic book rights to Lee Harvey Oswald.
Well, there's that. But I saw him a couple of years ago at New York, maybe 5 years ago now, and he had become James Tynan the Fourth that everyone knows. And I said, "How you doing?" And he said, "I'm doing good." And I said, "Yeah, you are." And he laughed. And he has become he's built an empire, or built a company, an industry. He's able to create a whole bunch of important, interesting stories, and to see him giving back to creators and to the industry in this way, I think it's really special, and I think it's important. And I like that. I think that's I like to see people recognizing where they came from.
On our show Tuesday, 2 days ago, when we had two of the best writers currently working in comics, I made the comment, not to trivialize them at all, but to say, at this point in time, at this moment in time, I can't remember a time when there were so many good writers out there, really good writers, and James is certainly among those.
Absolutely.
And on the short list at that. It's
what I love about James is that he writes things that I read, that I love, and he writes things that I'm sure are great, but I don't read them because that's fine. So we're very excited. I'm very excited about Brooklyn Expo of Comics. I had nothing to do show wise in November, and my wife is going to be very upset as she watches me say, but we're going to go to the Brooklyn Expo of Comics in November and see what's going on there.
Well,
will be showing up.
I'm loving the concept, and I just heard about it today, and that you've given me
it just kind of came
more
out
of the details. Yeah, and I can't think of a better place around here. I live in Fairfield County, Connecticut, which New Yorkers consider a suburb of New York, but New Yorkers consider Boston a suburb of New York. So we'll take that with a grain of salt. And I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled by the concept. Of course, if I go there and it stinks, I'll be obligated to burn the place down. But okay, we all need a little challenge.
Right. Well, this has been fun. This is a nice Thursday night with Mike and Bob, and we're gonna make it even more fun. And we're gonna bring in and make Three's Company, and we're gonna bring Tiffany in. We are very excited to talk to her about the comic staple, which launched yesterday. But before we bring her in, I want to do two things. One is I want to play the trailer that's on the site. So we're going to do that first, and then we'll bring her in. So then we can talk about her, see what she has to say. All right, here we go.
Do you love comics but feel a little out of the loop? If you're a comics reader who doesn't always know what the newest, buzziest, coolest book is each month, the comic staple is for you. This brand new 12-page black and white zine is filled with reviews, exciting new recommendations, interviews, and more to make sure that you know what's going on in comics every month. The comic staple will be covering everything from the biggest superhero books to that indie webcomic that you should know about. And to do so, we've put together an incredible team of writers. I mean, these are the people who I'd trust to tell me what books to buy. The best part? We're doing this in print, and the zine will be delivered straight to your mailbox every month. So if you love physical media and you love comics, pledge for a 6-month subscription of the staple to see what we're about.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, let's bring in Tiffany.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
So
that intro video is very cool.
What?
That intro video is very cool.
Well, you're very. We you know what the best part is that I had it before from the last time your show, so I just had to add to it. I love that. I had 2 shows in a row.
Just a refresh.
Had existing videos that I just get to add more cool stuff to.
Hi, Tiffany.
Hi, how's it going?
It's going well. I got a question for you that supersedes anything Bob has in mind.
Sure.
You say it's a 12-page monthly newsletter, we'll call it. Is it stapled?
It will be stapled, yes.
Of course.
Okay, well, I'm there. I am there. The first real professional fanzines, this goes back to, when we had them on stone, carved in stone. We're like that. They were like 12-page monthlies, and they covered all kinds of stuff throughout. None of us knew what we were doing, but we were starting this whole comics fandom thing. I'm really second generation. Jerry Bales and Roy Thomas, Maggie Thompson are the first generation folks. So I have a strong nostalgic feeling for what it is that you're about to do. And when we're done here, well, I'll probably have dinner, but I'm done with that, I'm going to sign up.
Thank you. That's great to hear.
I can't wait. So I want you to welcome to the show. Welcome back. We are very excited for this. I want to know. We had you here when you were launching the Courier. Um, how is the staple different from the Courier?
It's completely different. The things that I have in common is that it's print, it's about comics. But beyond that, the Courier is very much a niche publication that's focused on design and long form writing. The staple is short and it'll also look good. But because we're putting it out every month, like I'm not gonna have months to dot the I's and cross the T's, right? We're moving fast. And every issue is dedicated to comics coming out that month. So we're all about the now. With the Courier, the writers get to choose whatever cool comics they want to write about from the history of comics. We've had articles about the Yellow Kid, about the Moomin comics, like everything to superhero comics. And the staple, it's like September issue features September comics. And the idea of this is that this is going to be the thing that catches you back up, because social media, like the online comics criticism, and there's a lot of good stuff out there, it can get overwhelming, especially if you're a fan who just wants to know, what book should I be reading this month? And I've chosen this really incredible group of writers that I think are the right people to answer that question, and the people that, we want to hear from every month about comics.
That sounds great, but it also sounds desperately needed. And I'm proud to say it's desperately needed, because the reason for that is you go to a comic book store or whatever, and you see 43 billion comics now. And you know what, the Superman and the Spider-Man and the Flash and all that, you know what those are. And there's a billion of those individually. And they're getting in the way of all this new stuff. I'm not saying they're bad or they shouldn't, but we have such a wide variety of wonderful material out there. And people got to know what to look for, or got to get inspired. It's like, wow, I didn't know about that. Like when I heard about Comic Staple, I didn't know about that. That sounds like it's for me, So you're performing a much needed service to not just the hardcore comics fans, but to humanity in general. And thank you for that.
That's what we're hoping. We're hoping to help people, right? To connect
readers
to the books that they want to read.
This is fantastic. So, I mean, I'm friends with half of these people that who have agreed to work with you on this. And they are smart. They are, people who read a lot of comics, first of all, and know what makes good and stuff. So what is the concept? What type of things will people find in the Comic Staple?
They will find reviews, recommendations. There will be a feature interview every month. We'll be spotlighting artists. We'll be spotlighting local comic shops.
Nice.
Which is very exciting. That'll be really
fun.
How
are you looking at doing that?
I've already talked to some comic shops. We'll have kind of a photo of the shop, a couple details of what you can buy there, what sets their shop apart, and a special, and then we just run it in a little section.
I gotta warn you, give you a heads up on something. A long time ago, more than a half century, I was writing a bi-weekly rock and roll review column for a newspaper in Chicago, and I was also on the air at the time, so it kind of made sense. So one of the really cool things that I thought was really cool was I wanted to go and spotlight an independent comic record store that were a lot like comic book stores are today. Strong neighborhood feelings. You can go there and you can find all kinds of interesting and weird stuff. Now, there were a lot of those back then, and I wanted to spotlight a different one each time. And I did for a while, and for whatever reason I don't remember, we had to cancel it. Maybe because my editors just thought it was stupid. And that's usually the case. And then I started getting mail from all my friends who own record stores saying, "Hey, you didn't get to me, so watch it."
Hopefully there will be less judgment this time around. And I do plan to do it for as long as the staple goes. And the lucky part is that because I'm the editor, I get to decide when it starts and ends.
There you go.
Listen,
It's nice being the boss.
First of all, if you ever need help, I'm always here. Second of all,
Thank you.
second of all, what are we 24? We're 27 hours into this, and you've already surpassed your goal. I anticipate it to be fantastic in terms of what you guys are going to get, because this is, as Mike said, sorely needed. One of
What
the
was
things
the goal? What was the goal?
The goal was $7,000.
And you got it in a day.
less
Yes.
like 3 hours or something like that.
5
We're
hours.
we're
Not
currently
fast.
currently
That
funded
is wonderful.
currently funded at $10,000 with 297 people are saying, "Hey, I want this every week, every month in my mailbox." There's 28 days to go. We'll put the link.
I gotta buy a mailbox now.
Exactly.
Actually bought a larger mailbox, so it's easier for us to mail this stuff out.
You should.
It's a large mailbox. Like when it first got here, I thought it was comically large. I could stand in it.
Well,
It went up to like my knees.
These are.
Do you have Do you have cats?
I do not.
Oh, it's a shame because you have this great box.
Yes, for the cats.
What when someone gets it in the mail, what's it going to be like? What do you have plans on the materials you're using? Is it going to be a glossy cover?
Sure, it's black and white printer paper in a manila envelope, just like an old time zine. Yes,
Oh,
and I'm
my.
laying. The plan is for me to lay it out by hand with scissors and glue.
You're
So
kidding.
it's gonna have a very DIY aesthetic. It's gonna look good, but it's gonna be a little tactile.
I can't wait. I'm
No,
very
that's
excited.
wonderful. I mean, if you're trying to like put me into some sort of nostalgia prism, that's what'll do it. The only thing that would make it better would be if you used, one of those mimeograph machines.
Right.
To
I don't
grind
have
it
one
up.
of those. I have
No.
an office-sized printer downstairs, but that's no mimeographs on this one. But it's very DIY. Like the plan is to hand staple it, hand fold, all of that stuff.
That's great. That's great. Ah,
So this Kickstarter is for the first to fund the first 6 months. Is that fair?
Yes.
And then your plan will be to fund the next 6 months after that, and that's so. Let's write this down. What is it? It's April 2nd. So 6 months from now, you're going to be back, and we're going to talk about this again. So we're going to fund the next one, right? So that's we will be here for it.
Thank you.
Why is comics? Why do we need this? Why do you think that this is something that And I want to preface this a little bit. So the Comics Courier is widely renowned amongst the community as a place to go for really, really smart criticism and good stories about stories. Now you say, hey, we need this monthly zine. Why do we need this? And what's here that we need?
So with the Courier is very much like a love letter to comics criticism, and it's a way for me to publish great comics criticism, people to read it in a really nice format. For me, the comics staple is about solving that problem. Like for me, this sounds silly, but this is my answer to the death of comics Twitter, which is there was a time when we were all online and we felt very up to date, right? That was the early days of Twitter. It's like, oh, I know exactly what books I should be ordering for my pull list. I know exactly who the new hot writer is. I know what the drama is. I know what the news is. Because that's what like comics Twitter was. Everything was kind of localized into that one space. And since Twitter met its untimely demise, people have scattered to a lot of different places. People don't interact with the internet in the same way. And so everybody feels out of the loop. Like nobody, even creators that they love and they want to read more of their stuff, like they don't know when the new books are out. And
right.
For me, yes. And I've spoken to a lot of fans about this, a lot of readers. I've spoken to a lot of publishers who are just like, we don't know how to tell people that books are coming out. And that's a gap, right? And that's a gap that theoretically, hopefully, this will be able to bridge.
Okay, I have an obvious answer to the question I'm about to ask you. But since I'm asking you, what made you decide that what we need right now is this? And what you need to do right now is this?
Good question. Well, I like print in general. I spend all my time on the computer. I don't need to spend more time on my computer or my phone. And like I was saying earlier, it can be really overwhelming to have like 10 different places to check versus a zine that comes in the mail. Like that's something that you can toss in your bag,
Right.
read while you're waiting for the bus or whatever. It's 12 pages, maybe a few more some months, and then you're up to date. You know the books, you have the advice, you've learned something new. Hopefully, you've learned about a new book or a new creator, hopefully. And then you're done. It doesn't feel like homework, ideally. It doesn't feel like, oh my gosh, I have to do all this reading to catch up. As for why I'm doing it, then this sounds really hokey in a way, but like I do feel a sense of responsibility for readers, right? As a critic, I think it's part of our jobs to showcase good work happening or showcase interesting work happening, to write about books. And right now, the connections aren't connecting, right? People aren't reading reviews. People watch reviews on YouTube and TikTok and stuff. And by the way, I'm now on TikTok and Instagram video doing baseball stuff, not comic stuff. And that
We'll get to
reviewing
that. We'll
isn't
get to
quite
that.
my
Don't worry.
bag. Reviewing isn't quite my bag. So I wasn't gonna go the video route for this thing. And so you go the zine route. You go as old school as possible. You do
Listen,
the
I'm fine with that.
180 turn. So that's why I'm doing this, is because I do feel like it's needed, and I do feel like as a critic and sometimes journalist, like we have a responsibility to reach our readers, and this is like the one way that I feel
Right.
like I can do it.
Listen, I understand. Like, it's weird. It's why do people who love comics have that weird guilt responsibility thing? Because like I feel the same way. Like,
Mhm.
why do I don't need to do this. I have a day job but I can't stop doing it because I feel like I might help somebody. I might be able to give somebody something that would help, that would open their mind or something like that. And I feel that you have that kind of same thing. Like, hey, there's people out there who might benefit from this. So if nobody else is doing it, I must do it.
There's an answer to that. There's a response to that. Comic book fans have always been just a hair away from being religious fans, but not all the same religion, you know? So we get to have our little holy wars, and without vehicles like Comic Staple, where do you fight those holy wars? Comics comics fandom was formed on a basis of nostalgia. And what those of us who've been reading fanzines and that sort of stuff for decades and decades and decades, we're actually nostalgic for the nostalgia. Somebody sends me like a digital of an old fanzine from the 60s. I'm thrilled. That's great. And who's going to be looking at those fanzines from the 19 or from the 20 whatever 2026s? You're the one who's supplying that.
Yes,
You're doing
ideally.
that. Well, yeah. I mean, it's all a high wire act, but you're creating that. You're perpetuating these holy wars where no one really gets hurt.
That's fair. Let's turn back to the Kickstarter that's currently going. We want people to get involved. We want people to get to back it. Let's talk about a little bit about what I like about it is that you're very sparse with the rewards, but I think that's fair. There's only a couple, and this is what you get. And you go ahead, you can get for $15. You get a digital version of it every month for 6 months, starting in September. for $15 plus just shipping. So it's the same cost, just you got to pay for shipping. You get an issue of the comic staple delivered into your mailbox every month, starting in September. And then there's a merch pack with it's a little bit more plus shipping. You get cool stuff. There's a retailer option, which I hope people are taking advantage of. Get 5 copies for $45 for retailers. I'm going to talk to my retailer when I go to their shop tomorrow and let them know about it.
And the first thing your retailer is going to say is, "Yeah, when are they going to profile my store?"
Well, they don't know.
They could
I'm
always
not
shoot me
telling
an
them
email.
that. I'm not telling them that.
You should.
I'm not trying to sabotage Tiffany.
You wouldn't sabotage it. I think you'll expand the circulation because
And then there's
retailers are going
option.
to go buy it and sell it so that they can be in it.
Well, there's that. That's fair. And then there's a sponsor option where you can, kind of advertise in there, and we'll talk about that. But look at you had mentioned earlier the staff you've accomplished. You have Omar Valdivieso. I'm not good at that. I haven't said that out loud, so that's problematic. But Oliver Sava, Rob Salkowitz, Zach Quaintance, who's been on the show several times and probably will be going in the future, Susanna Polo, Jim McDermott, Doug Wolk, David Brothers, David Harper, who's you're all right, you're done now. Like, got David Harper, you're good to go. Dave Baker, who I love, and the editrix of the show, Tiffany. So I mean, that's a great team of people who are plugged in.
Editrix.
Yeah, sure. Listen, it's a Shelley term.
It sounds like I'm gonna go flying.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Now it's funny when you said it; it sounded weird, but now I can hear Shelley saying it, and it doesn't sound weird at all, even though she's not here.
Right. See. It's interesting that you had mentioned earlier. You mentioned earlier that you see Comic Staple as the answer to the death of comics Twitter, and I think that's really something. That's an interesting conversation to have. It is one of the saddest things of the last 5 years. It was such an engaging community, a community where you knew you can go. You didn't have to engage with the parts of comics Twitter that you didn't want to. There was, but the things you wanted to know about what was going on in the world, you could find people, you could talk to people, you can get information. It was there, and then it's not, and there has never been a solution. I go, Threads is weird. Instagram we get some love there. We get some interaction there, especially with the reels. Reels have been coming up a little bit. Facebook is for old people, but I'm old, so that's fair.
You're a child. You're a child.
And then I could be your child. We've established that earlier. But
notice how I didn't have anything to say to that.
I understand. So but then there's Blue Sky, which is the most of all of the Twitter replacements that feels the most engaged, most place where I want to be the most. The things that I want to, but I don't get any engagement. I don't get there's something with the way that promotion happens there. I don't know what it is, but it's not, and it's gotten worse, to be honest with you. I get less and less engagement over things that we post on Pop Culture Squad. And so, yeah, we need something. We need something that is a way for people to know what's going on, a place for people to get information. I think that's fantastic. I think that I'm happy that you're doing it, and I'm happy that you're doing it in print. I love the concept of something showing up in my mailbox, or being able to go to my comic shop and hopefully having some retailers. Have you spoken to retailers about this concept? Are you getting good feedback about it?
Yeah, I was at Comics Pro this year, so I got to talk everybody's ear off about it. And it's tough, right? Because retailers, the easiest thing for them is to have stuff that's distributed through the direct market distribution. And I just can't do that. I could theoretically, but like a lot of the last minute stuff that I want to be throwing into this thing just wouldn't work if we were going to a printer and the printer had to ship the stuff to the distributor and the distributor had to ship things out. Like, we're making it very immediate. And that is the sacrifice. But I have talked to retailers. Some retailers have already backed the Kickstarter, which I'm very pleased about. And also for any other retailers that are listening, if the retailer tier on the Kickstarter is for 5 issues every month, but if you want fewer or more, you can just email me and we can work something out, because I know everyone's shop has different needs.
Sure, but you're looking at
no two shops are the same.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's really freaky how there's one store that could sell a whole lot of one title comic that they can't give away at a store a few miles down the road.
Yeah.
And by the way, I love that. I think that's phenomenal because the hunt is kind of fun. But no two stores are the same. We just had a lot of dead air.
$2.30 on the retailer side. It's $2.30 an issue, including shipping. That's fair. What, are you gonna sell it for $5, right? Is there a dollar figure on the front of it?
There's no dollar figure on the front of it. I think back issues will probably be around $4 or $5. Yeah. But obviously comic shops can sell them however they'd like, whatever makes the most sense for them.
Sure. I mean, this is a viable economic answer for comic shops. I think that I will talk to everybody I know. It's just such a wonderful idea here. We have Joe chiming in.
Oh,
hey, Joe.
Hey, Joe.
Joe, thanks for being here. Yeah, we got
Happy
to get Joe involved in. Have you backed the Comics Escape staple yet, Joe?
Not to put you on the spot.
I'm putting you on the spot.
Hey, Joe was here 2 days ago.
He said he was coming. I saw that he said he was coming. So.
Oh, that's great. That's wonderful.
We love.
He and I did a panel in San Diego about Denny O'Neil that I loved. And the best part was we did it like this because of COVID. And
oh, yes, I remember that.
That was great. My last appearance in San Diego, I never left Connecticut.
So yeah, what has been, so how far have you got along in terms of production planning, and what has been the most interesting part about doing this magazine and getting it going?
So a lot of this stuff is stuff that I just already do, like for the Courier or for former jobs. So the putting together the actual coverage to me is like the easiest bit. The most difficult stuff is the Kickstarter stuff, or I'm selling ads for this. So this is my first time personally going out and selling ads, as opposed to like being at a company that sells ads. So that's also new to me. Getting cover art, like talking to publishers for cover art, that's also new to me. But it's all doable. It's all, we're all in one fairly small industry. So it's easy to call up someone and ask them for their advice or see if they're interested in promoting their book or this and that. Always new experiences, but most of it is like stuff that I'm a lot of it is very familiar to me.
Well, selling ads is
Joe has homework.
Tedious.
He still has to back it. But we have confidence that you will. I am very thankful that you've decided to do this. I'm very thankful that you decided to or felt the responsibility of that comic nerd guilt or whatever it is that we have, that we need to evangelize, and we need to, because that it's funny because that's the word that Mike used, like we're close to a religiosity, but like I've used the word evangelizing comics in in my regular conversation when I talk to it, because it is that it's hey, there's this thing out there that you might like, and you should, if you might like it, then you should do it, right? And I'm glad that you've done that. I'm glad you created the Courier. I love every issue of the Courier. So I'm excited about this. How are you approaching this differently? What is the juice? What juices are flowing differently for this? Is it more? Do you feel like you're more, like the Courier? I put on my fancy hat and my ruffles, and then in this one I'm like, I got my my fedora and with my notepad. Is it that?
It is very similar to what you're saying. Like with the Courier, I approach it with the mindset of a literary editor. Like I'm thinking about the voice of the journal, of the entire of the magazine, the newspaper. I want everything. Everybody has their individual voice they're bringing in, but there's a sensibility to the Courier. Whereas with a staple, like the writers are the sensibility. Like this whole concept is built around this stable of incredible writers, and I want them all to not have the same sensibility. I'm just compiling it physically and also not physically, editorially, and doing all of the packaging around it. Like they're the stars, right? The staple isn't the star, the writers are the star. The staple is just the delivery method. And so that's how I approach them differently. I do have the like fedora concept too, just because it's going to be so fast. The turnaround's going to be so fast. We are dealing with a little bit of news, but we're dealing with the new, right? The new books that are coming out that month. The newest hot topic, that kind of stuff. And so it's different. The speed of things is different.
I'm excited for you.
There's a difference between print and internet, and it's not just the fact that the internet gives us bullshit and lies faster than the speed of thought. Newspapers, print, you have to put more time and effort into your bullshit. Why do you think it's interesting that you're doing this after the internet is very well established, when it's the internet that puts things like what you're doing out of business? And it seems like a really wonderful rebellious attitude, and I think it might even be the right time for that attitude. It feels right, with AI and all this other stuff, and we're getting really weirded out by what is reality.
Sure.
Like we're always weirded out by that, but now it's like there is no reality. My faith is still in print, and I gotta say it'll always be. I mean, I've been doing internet stuff forever, but I've been doing print stuff longer, and that is how I was raised, and that is my passion. So good for you.
Thank you. I love print too. It is different, and I do think that you're right. There is this trend, especially for young people, to live in the analog. Like people are putting their phones away, they're going out and doing stuff, and I think that's really important.
I agree. A big ass smile comes on my face every time I hear somebody saying, "No, I'm going out." Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's the vinyl revolution or revival, right? And now we're back to making print zines. We're back to creating even earlier. I love the concept of people saying, hey, even though we have these really cool modern conveniences and things, going back and saying, hey, but you know what? Just because they're new and modern doesn't mean that what we had before was bad. And I love that. What is so I want to come back to what the magazine will give us. So there, according to the solicitation here and the campaign, there's going to be writing about comics. There's going to be top comic picks. There's going to be reviews. There's going to be interviews, news roundups, creator spotlights. How are you? Are you working with your creative team about who's got what and who, kind of signing them? And then my other question is, let's go with that one, and I'll get back to the other one.
Sure. So people, luckily everybody's kind of a different reader.
Yeah.
But I'm also allowing everybody to choose their own coverage. Like obviously we need to make sure people aren't covering the same books.
Sure.
But it's kind of first come, first serve with them. And sometimes we also need to cover some major books. So someone will have to cover the major books. But beyond that, like I want the writers to pick what they think is the most exciting because they are the tastemakers, right? Like I don't want to be telling them what's cool. They know better than I do what's cool. So they're choosing more or less their own assignments. I'll be covering like the feature interview, local comic shop spotlight, that sort of stuff, like the more background writing.
Okay.
So that's how it's gonna go.
That's great. I love that. Um, you say you said that this is going to be something that's going to hit on a monthly basis. How are you going to? What's your plan for knowing that what I'm going to put out in the September issue needs to be in the September issue versus what I'm going to put out in the October issue or November issue, and like what's that? Are you working with publishers to kind of get ahead, get information about what you need to put out there so that you can be prepared?
Yeah, so it's a mix of things, right? Because like book market publishers tend to have their schedules done really early and the books are
Sure.
done really early. So you can get advanced reader copies months in advance. Direct market publishers, monthly books, less so. Some of the big books, this stuff will be done, which is nice and useful. Some of them won't be done. So I am working with publishers, definitely for the cover stories and stuff like that. But the writers will individually be working with the publishers as well to get their review copies and stuff to make sure that we can try to be as up to date as possible.
That's great. So, go ahead, Mike.
No, go ahead.
No, you have a question.
Well, no, I have a statement. I have a comment, and I always do. So there's nothing new about that. Tiffany, what did you want to be when you were a kid? And I'm asking this because I understand why I went into journalism as a child because I'm a blabbermouth and I write good, so that attracted me. But that's an ancient art. It's a great art, one that I'm deathly afraid we'll lose. And you, who I assume are younger than me, got into that trap. I know how I did because it was the only trap around. How did you get into that?
That's a good question. I think growing up, I wanted to be a writer. There was a little detour when I was thinking about going to politics, but mostly I wanted to be a writer. If I knew what a critic
Mike had
was,
that detour too.
yeah, well, there you go. If I knew what
Yeah,
a critic was, I probably would have wanted to be a critic, and that to me is my soul work, right? I'm more a critic in my mind than I am a reporter or all the other stuff. I love being an editor as well because you get to work with people. And as a critic, you don't get to work with anybody. You get to email your editor and that is it. And that can lead to a very lonely life. But being an editor, I get to work with writers and I get to build things, right? Like I get to build something like this. So I don't know if I think young me would have been like, that's cool work that you do. But I don't know exactly after being a critic, I guess being a critic, I was dragged into it because of my love of comics. And that was the way that I could interact with it, was writing criticism. And then I was dragged into the news side through my work with Popverse. I had very little news experience, and that was kind of a drop you in the middle of the freeway, start running and hope you don't die kind of situation. And I got a lifetime of experience with my time there, working with Chris and Graham, and they were both really great at kind of showing me the ropes and also just like getting me up to speed on how you do everything. And now I have the experience, and now I can do the new stuff as well.
Right. Let me tell you something for me that makes editing fun and exciting. Your mileage may differ. I love the catalytic role. Like in comics, a writer plus an artist equals a comic book. No, no. there are other people on the team, and there's a whole bureaucracy. Even if it's a small publisher has to put up with those bureaucracies too. You can help navigate, get that journey. You can make things happen that didn't exist. And that's a wonderful feeling. Look at this. Look at this. You didn't do it. You got it done. And you got it done right. What a wonderful feeling.
Yeah.
I want to take an interlude. We're going to come back to the comic staple, but I want to talk about the Savannah Bananas.
Sure.
So, what you wrote a nice long piece about it recently, or about a year ago or so. What can you share for our listeners and viewers? What is behind the phenomenon of the Savannah Bananas?
I think they're exciting. I don't think it's that complicated, right? They're exciting. They make good entertainment. They're fun to watch. They do, like, right now, the easiest way to get a huge audience is through TikTok dancing, right? And you know what they do? They do TikTok dancing, and they're wacky, and they're like, they have this really interesting new type of masculinity that's really like they're not afraid to put on a dress and sing a Beyonce song. And I think that's really appealing to a lot of young people. It's very appealing to kids. And they're doing it while wearing stilts and doing backflips. And now they have a Broadway actor that they just hired called Derek Klena, who I remember from, he was in Wicked, and he was in this off-Broadway show called Dogfight. Very talented. And they're like finding different ways to appeal to a lot of people. And that's engaging. Like, why wouldn't that be engaging? I found watching them in person a overwhelming and not wildly pleasant experience, but I think watching them on video is wonderful.
You're going to a baseball game, right? So there's a baseball fan perspective on being at a baseball game versus a Savannah Bananas experience.
Well, I feel like that's different, because it wasn't like I was judging them as baseball players, and more just like there's so much noise.
Sure.
It's like imagine a Savannah Bananas video, but instead of 30 seconds, it's 3 hours long. Yeah. And you also can't really see the dancers because they're really far away from you.
Sure. Well,
they're not performing at you, but the screen's not always on the dancers. This is the funny part. If it was, then I feel like it would be better. Like if you could see what you're seeing on a TikTok screen, I think the whole experience would be much better. But more or less, you can't. I don't know if they fixed that yet. I went a year ago, but I didn't find it a great entertainment unless you were a child. A lot of the adults that I saw left seventh inning just because it's just loud and there's just constant screaming of young children.
Sure. I don't know if you know this, but so I want to share this with you. This is one of the interesting things. We didn't go to the Savannah Bananas came to Baltimore last year. And it was huge. Like, people couldn't get the tickets are ridiculous in terms of people getting tickets. This is the interesting thing about the Savannah Bananas and translating. So they had All Time Low at the show. And All Time Low is a Baltimore area band. They have a big song called Dear Maria. So they came and showed up at their game and played and performed and whatever it is. Subsequent to that, Ryan Mountcastle changed his walk-up song to Dear Maria, which is a Baltimore song, but it was after the Savannah Bananas came and played, and then he's kind of co-opting that so that his walk-up song now is Baltimore related, which is funny. I thought it was funny. I mean, Gunnar Henderson's walk-up song is Sweet Escape, and it makes everybody sing, and I love that concept that players do, where they have a walk-up song that's like immediately everybody's reacting to. I think
a crowd pleaser, yeah.
Like Charlie Blackmon's, outfield song was like perfect. And it's an amazing experience if you're in those stadiums, and same thing with Gunnar. But then Ryan adopting that, I thought was really cool, because it's basically continuing the experience that people had about coming to the Savannah Bananas and coming back to the yards for that. I thought it was cool.
That is cool. They're really good at doing the local research.
Yeah.
I'll tell you about music on the baseball diamond. Bob knows parts of this story, but I was at this event and I was with Bruce Springsteen. Now he was just sort of saying hello to everybody as he did each year at this event. But I had, because of Amy Cho, a plate full of Korean barbecue chicken that was phenomenal, best I ever had. So he comes to my table and we're talking, and he says, "What's that?" And I said, "Korean barbecue chicken." And he says, "Is it good?" And I said, look." And he just points to it, and one of his bodyguards goes off and finds a mound of it and comes back to the table. So now for 20 minutes, Bruce Springsteen and I are having a conversation over Korean chicken. Fine. I'm happy on many levels.
You okay
But
there,
what do you?
Tiffany?
That's insane. I'm literally going to see him next week.
But wait, we had to talk, because you don't want to just sit there and eat all the chicken. You feel like a pig. So I knew he was going to Wrigley Field in a week or two to play, and I know that Bruce is a big baseball fan, and I grew up as a Cubs fan because I was born on the north side of Chicago. I had no choice.
Right.
Luckily, the Cubs taught me patience. So I said, "I hear you're going to Wrigley Field, this month," and he just got this faraway look in his eyes, like a wonderful thing that he always wanted to do is just about to happen and he can taste it. And that was a wonderful experience to share with a guy like Bruce Springsteen, a guy who'd done everything and could do anything. And what is he looking forward to? Performing for a bunch of people in this magnificent, ancient
Cathedral of baseball.
cathedral of baseball cathedral. Absolutely. It's like that in Fenway, it's just amazing to me.
That is
That was
so
one of
cool. I love Bruce
That was one
Springsteen.
of the better moments.
So
Yeah.
have you seen him before?
I have. I saw him in Milan last year. It was the end of his tour. And it was unbelievable. Like the best concert I've ever been to in my life.
So when he was supposed to come to Baltimore a few years ago, and when he got sick and he had to end his tour early.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
So the following year he did come back to Baltimore, and we saw him there. It was the first time I've ever seen him. And I grew up in Jersey. I'm a Jersey boy, so I grew up in his shadow. I had the opportunity to talk to a good friend, Jesse Jackson, who has a podcast called Set Lusting with Bruce, and he interviews people who have fandom and stuff like that. So I will post that or plug that here. It's called Set Lusting with Bruce Springsteen by Jesse Jackson, and there's an episode where I talked about my experience. I don't want to go into it here, but it was amazing, and I hope you have a great time. Where are you seeing him?
At the Kia Forum.
Oh, awesome. Fantastic.
Also historic.
Yeah. Mike has dropped that story before. It's a little
so good.
It's tough when you're with him. You get this.
I got a couple others.
Yeah, I know. It's not the first time. That was not the first time that he's met Bruce.
This week.
I also, besides being a guilty person with ability, with the need to create comics criticism and fandom and news and all the things you're doing, you also do blogs about baseball. I want your opinion on how do you think the ABS thing is going? What's your opinion on it?
I think it's going great.
I think it's fantastic.
I saw it at spring training a couple weeks ago, and I was just like, why haven't we been doing this for longer? Because they've been doing it in AAA for a bit. And it's just so fast, and it makes so much sense.
Yes.
And especially, I don't know if you guys were watching that WBC game with the Dominican Republic in the US. Like watching that game, I was like the last strike was not a strike. Watching that, I was just like, we need ABS today. Like it was really rough. But I think it's going great.
Yeah, was it yesterday was the first game that ended on an ABS challenge. It was the Orioles game. I think I think what everyone who watches baseball has known for years is now been validated by the record that CB Buckner has
Yeah.
in his challenges. Um, but I think it's fantastic. I love it. You know, it's interesting because baseball is doing it right, where football did it horribly. And I don't know if you're familiar with this, but so football decided this year to do like you can every once in a while they would do an automatic like a digital sticks challenge where you would go and they would say, oh, this is where the ball is if in spotting, is it a first down or not? And it was horrible. It didn't look good. You couldn't tell based on the spot. But this is exactly the Hawkeye system that tennis has been doing for decades now. And it's perfect.
It's great.
I got to admit, I'm very old school when it comes to baseball, and partially because of that Cubs thing. I mean, I'm still opposed to night games.
I have a support day baseball shirt somewhere around here.
There you go.
It's a regular thing.
I mean, I was in high school when they put the lights in.
Yeah. Well, fun fact: Bill Veeck, who later owned the White Sox, among other teams, his father was general manager of the Cubs, and he, as a summer job or a spring job, dug the first post holes for the lights. And then Wrigley found out that somebody else had already done that or was just about to turn on their lights, and he said, "Screw this," and they never built the lights. And then it became a thing in Chicago, and Chicago has its things. So when the Major League Baseball said, okay, but if you ever make it to the World Series, you're gonna have to play it in St. Louis because they're going to be night games. And when the Cubs fans stopped laughing at the concept of being in the World Series, and that took a while, they put up the lights, and I was pissed. The designated hitter rule, I'm still pissed about that. As a matter of fact, the only thing I really enjoy are kinescopes of old Negro League games, because those guys did everything. And it was phenomenal.
I would love to watch a game with you. We have to do that sometime.
Yeah. Also about the Negro Leagues, I just interviewed, this should be coming out, I think, next week, these two guys who wrote a book on Rickwood Field, which was the oldest ballpark in the U.S. And obviously a lot of the Negro Leagues legends played there, as well as Joe Jackson, apparently, and Babe Ruth.
Yes.
I was once, now this is name dropping, and I'm good at it, but this is name dropping. I was once with an organization that I co-founded. It was for runaway kids, National Runaway Switchboard, and kids on the road could call if they were in trouble or what have you. A long time ago, and a local bank, back when there were local banks, gave us a donation, very sizable, but they wanted to do one of those events, the big check events, which are kind of hokey unless you realize we need this money. I'll do it in a bathing suit if that's what you want. And their PR guy, was the one who handed me this gigantic check in front of the media, and that was Ernie Banks, and that was the fulfillment of my life's dreams.
Ah, Mr. Cup. He's Mr. Cup, right?
Mr. Cup.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh my God! And what a sweet guy. I mean, I'd met him a couple of times since, but it was wonderful. It was just
That's
a
cool.
wonderful experience. And baseball and comic books, American culture does that, at least to Americans.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's a lovely thing. We're part of something bigger.
It's interesting. It's an interesting concept. Like, so I have a lot of fandoms. a large percentage, and I don't know if it's over 50%, but a large percentage of comic fans, friends of mine that are in comics, have no concept of sports. It doesn't matter, gender is not a factor. They just don't know. I know a lot about sports and I know a lot about comics. Like I feel like I'm a little bit in the middle of, there's that Venn diagram has a much smaller slice. But I love the fact, but I think that there's something about it that makes sense, especially with baseball. Baseball is one of those things that it's, I don't want to get stupid about it, but it's
esoteric for sure.
Yeah.
That's right.
There's a lot of ways to interact. I was just on a podcast about baseball and comics actually, and Mark Chiarello, who had interviewed for the Fan Pals as well, was on it, and he was kind of talking. Yeah,
you have his book, right?
Yes, Baseball 100. And he was talking about how like he's kind of fallen out of love with the sport and whether or not he should get back in. I was like, well, you can get back in you don't have to be watching current games to be into baseball. Like you could be watching old Negro League games, right? You could be just reading books or whatever. Like there's so many different ways to be a hardcore baseball fan without touching like anything else. Like people will only watch their team.
But the same thing can be said about comics.
Yeah.
It is so part of our culture. And it's the fun part of our culture. And like everything else we do in this country, we have a tendency to take it too seriously. And that's the fun part. Taking it too seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah. Baseball, comic books. Come on, man. It's like
just baseball.
I'd collect apple pie if I can find a way to double bag it.
Yeah. It is really interesting because the stuff that I do on the Fan Files is very story based. It's interviewing authors or talking about interesting stories around baseball. And now that I'm doing this social media video stuff, that's even more story based because we're talking about 30 seconds to 2-3 minutes, right? But I'll tell a story. Like I was telling that story about Ricky Henderson, kind of pushing the World Series locker room to give more people full shares of the pot. And people were commenting about when they met him or how he bought their friend a car or how he like spent 10 minutes extra coaching them in Little League or something. And that's like, those are the stories that you chase after, right? These human stories that like none of these stories some of these stories might make it into the newspaper. Like the car thing might make it into the newspaper, but a lot of these things just aren't shared until you say something and then everybody comes in and shares the memories. And that to me is just the most valuable part of doing the video, at least, because I have readers on the site, but they're not like necessarily email. Sometimes they'll email me with like, oh, I remember going to Candlestick when I was a kid, but usually I don't get comments or emails. I just get the reads. And then with the video, something is really, I think, because it's social media, because it's really direct and easy to comment, people are just really forthcoming with that sort of thing.
It's a wonderful community, and it was my first professional work as a writer. When I was 16, I was writing prep sports for a local newspaper, and it helped change my writing style. Being 16, anything would, but the fact of the matter is, sports writers have a little bit more freedom, a little bit more ability to comment. I mean, root for the home team, but say what you feel is honest and true, and you can be witty about it. Hey, that's my life. So I owe sports writing my career.
There you go.
Except for politics part.
Here's the thing. Tiffany, we can talk to you like for like hours and hours on end about whatever topic we want to come up with. We're gonna have to let's move on. I apologize for that. I would like to talk more about Ricky Henderson, because who doesn't want to talk about Ricky Henderson? Ricky certainly wants to talk about Ricky.
Exactly. There you go.
But let's come back to comics. Let's come back to the comic staple. What comics are you reading? Are you reading any new comics? I don't want to assume, but are you reading?
I am reading. Well, I'm an Eisner judge this year, so I'm reading only books from 2025. I have like a stack of books in front of me. The kids, I'm going through the early readers right now, And I'm just reading a lot of comics that were published in 2025. Nothing new.
That's
Absolutely.
fine.
I'm not allowed to touch a new book until the reading period is over. Just 2025.
Okay, but that's a lot. Are you okay? So I don't. So you're an Eisner Jump, so I don't want to ask you what you like. That's unfair because but
Because we will stop and place bets on
well,
it.
I'm going to give
because-
you. I would start giving you, ideas, but I'm not going to do that. I will vote on your recommendations, and there we go. But regardless of that, so what type of genres do you like to read in comics? Do you, as Tiffany Babb, not editor of the Staple or the Courier?
I do love reading superhero comics. I read a good chunk of, not a chunk of them, but a good chunk of my reading is superhero comics. I love crime comics. I loved that Alcatraz book, and then I love all the criminal books. I will read every single one. To me, that is peak comics. Yeah,
those writers and artists, but as Mike was saying earlier, I'm sure that those two writers are in his list of some of the best writers in the world, as we were talked about earlier today.
There you go.
That
way up there. Like I love
totally.
Edward Baker and Sean Phillips, I think, and Jacob Phillips is doing such a beautiful job with coloring.
Jake is going to be a star for years and years.
Oh yeah. It's great.
And
but I also read the literary stuff. I read a lot of kids stuff. I love middle grade fiction and comics. I'm kind of all over the place. It's usually like book to book more than genre. Like what a book, the vibe of the book. But yeah, I like crime comics though. I'm excited about. I haven't been able to pick up the new John le Carré adaptation. I'm very curious about that.
Okay,
me too. I haven't read it either, but I am very curious partially because I love his stories, but not his writing style.
You don't like John le Carré's writing style?
No, I mean I found it a little tedious. This is 50 years ago, but I found it kind of tedious. So I'm really excited to see what a good graphic novel can do because I like the stories.
Right.
But I haven't read it yet, and it's on my list. Absolutely.
I want to say that. So I was at Planet Comic Con last weekend, and I was talking to people, and I said, we'll talk to people about what we're doing and shows we're having on. I told people we were having you on. And I've heard so many positive responses from creators out there, already knowing that you're doing this and what it was about, and people talking about how they were excited about it, and I am excited about it. So, one last time, what do you think people who back this project are going to be excited about to get in their mailbox every month?
I think that they're going to be excited to hear from, in my opinion, the best writers in this space, the most trusted tastemakers, the most trusted opinions and voices. And they don't necessarily share my taste, right? A lot of these people I look at their best of lists or I look at their reviews, I'm like, wrong. But I'm also a critic. They're also a critic. Like everybody gets their own perspective. And I trust these people. And I expect other readers will also trust these people when it comes to comics and what you should be reading or what you shouldn't be reading. And what you should be aware of every month. Because at the end of the day, like these every single person I've asked has said yes. Like this is my dream team. There's no B players here. These are the people that I wanted for very specific reasons, and they said yes. And I couldn't be happier with this team. And I think people are going to feel that when they start to read the writing.
I'm excited. I'm excited for it.
The thing about writing criticism, not just comics, anything, is that the writer has to be more enthusiastic, even in a totally negative sense, about what they're reviewing than about their own writing style.
Sure.
It's not about the reviewer.
Yeah.
And a lot of reviewers, particularly after a little while, tend to forget that.
Yeah.
You know?
People from Chicago tend to be like that a lot.
Tend to
There's
be
a lot
like
of
what?
critics in Chicago.
There's a lot of critics.
Oh,
in
yeah.
Chicago
Well,
who
we all
make
grew
the criticism
up
about themselves.
We all grew up with Mike Royko, one of the great writers in American
Right.
history, and some people think the greatest columnist ever. And he was one of the most influential writers around, and a lot of us, not just in Chicago, because his work was syndicated, but most of it was about Chicago, and they taught us to be well-spoken brats. I like that.
That's fair. So I just want to say, Tiffany, we are super excited about the comic staple.
Absolutely.
I am proud owner of this, which I love.
Yes.
We look forward to talking to you in 6 months when we're kickstarting, and we can talk about, well, this has happened, and let's go have some more of it.
Mhm.
And when I'm out on the West Coast, I will make sure that we get together. And when you're on the
Yes.
East Coast, you need to let me know so we can do that.
Me too.
Absolutely.
Me too. I don't get out to the West Coast much anymore because I hate airplanes now.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm my leg is screwed up, and I'm 6 feet tall, and anybody who's 6 feet tall can't get into an airplane. So why
This is what
bother?
happens. Advantages of being short people.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Yeah, I know. I can sit next to my daughter who doesn't mind sitting in the middle seat because she's 5'0". So it's perfect.
So anyway, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. This has been
been
lovely.
so much fun. Thank you for doing this. And next time, or maybe we'll have you on the All-Star game. We can just talk about baseball or something.
That'd be fun.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
And everyone go back, Comic Staple. Joe, you're on the clock. You've already committed to it. Let's get to it. And we'll talk to you later. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, Tiffany. Thank you very much. That's great.
Well, Mike, 2 shows in a week.
Yeah.
And we're going to do it again next week.
All right. We got to talk about baseball.
I know,
it's not like I'm always looking to talk about sports. Well, hockey maybe, but we don't normally talk about sports in the middle of these SquadCasts, and it's nice to vary to mix it up a little bit.
Yeah,
particularly with somebody who knows what she's doing and what it's all
she's
about.
really good. So definitely,
she's really good. I mean, if she were to send me a note tomorrow saying you should read this, a book I'd perhaps never heard of before, I would just out of respect.
Yeah, absolutely. She's fantastic. We've planned this SquadCast for a couple of months. As soon as I heard about the comic staple, I'm like, well, you got to come on. And then we found out it was launching on a Wednesday, which doesn't help us. So I said, well, come on, we'll do a Tuesday. We'll do a Thursday show. Tiffany's fantastic. Go back her book. Her project is going to be fantastic. I'm excited for it. I hope it becomes something that we all look forward to every month for years to come. And folks, we are going to be here on Tuesday, not a whole less than a week from now. We're going to have Andy Parks and Dave Wachter, 2 fantastic comic creators. We're going to talk about their new book, Bad Thoughts, which is coming out in May from Ignition Press. Bad Thoughts. I'm going to give you high concept that come from memory. Something about like some sort of empath, telepath who only hears bad things. Like only the worst things that you think is what he picks up. And so it's kind of heist-y related. But let me tell you, Andy's a brilliant writer, and Dave is a wonderful storyteller. So I'm excited to see what they put together. And they're both 2 genuinely great, smart engaging folks. And so it's going to be a great show on Tuesday.
And you say we're going to be here a week from today as well.
Yes, we're going to have Chris Miskevich on, at least Chris Miskevich.
At least.
At least we're possibly have more, but we're going to
You're
talk about.
You're such a tease.
Well, Chris is trying to get some of the other folks on the book that he's working on to join us. But Chris is going to be here. We're going to talk about his career as Dean's sidekick, and then moving on past that. Chris has once described himself as Dean's Nightwing. You know, the first apprentice who went on to become his own.
Well, given Dean's history, that's interesting.
Yeah, it is. Well, anyway, Chris is a fine writer in his own right, and so there's a new graphic novel out that is the second Z2 graphic novel for a band that have never listened to, but it's still interesting comics. It's late and the name has escaped me and I don't have it in front of me, but we're going to talk about it next week. Chris, and he also is Ringo nominated for some other things. But it's going to be a fun conversation. Chris is always engaging, so he'll be here next Thursday. The Tuesday after that, we will have our good friend Paul Eza launching the second issue of the Olympian. After that, we will have Dean will be on. We're going to talk about his really cool project that has not yet launched but will, and is going to be super fantastic. May's already 3/4 booked.
You just skipped over one thing in April that we are doing.
Well, that's after Dean, or is it before Dean? It's after Dean.
I don't know. I don't have a calendar. I don't believe in them.
Well, so we will be, if you're looking for Mike and I, we will be in Ithaca, New York. So get there. The last weekend in April.
Ithacon.
Yes, we will be at Ithacon. We're going to be there for a show. There will be panels. I will be talking. Mike will be talking. Mike will be there to sign things. It is going to be a great, great show. Chris Condon is going to be there. Roger Stern is going to be there. Just announced today for Ithacon. Bart Sears is going to show up, and Bart's not one for lots of cons. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm sure the fans are going to go crazy over that.
No, I haven't seen him in a long time. Now that you mention it,
he was at Baltimore this past year, and we saw him. You were busy.
Yeah. Baltimore this year was very busy for me. I did 200 panels.
I saw him. We saw him in a couple of times in Baltimore. We also saw him at Heroes last year. So,
right.
But yeah, he's going to be there. I'm excited for that, and we will be here again next Tuesday. This coming Tuesday, April 7th. We're going to have Andy Parks and Dave Wachter on the show. Thank you guys for listening. Thanks for being here. Stay tuned to Pop Culture Squad. One word on pretty much any social media. Stay tuned to the Pop Culture Squad cast, the audio version. We're going to be relaunching season 2 of that shortly. That'll be, kind of our live interviews that we've kind of put into an audio format so you can listen to them. If you have missed some, you'll be able to find them there. If you don't want to watch, you can listen in the car. Mike, thank you for doing 2 nights in a week.
It's my pleasure, particularly when we have guests like this. I mean,
Tiffany was fantastic. This
whole week. I mean, we usually have great guests. And I'm not bullshitting you here. I'm not promoting anything. We usually have really great guests, and Bob and I always promote us. And Bob and I always go and after the show and say, like, wow, that was good. And it is. So thank you, folks, for helping us, for motivating us, for making us do all of this, because we enjoy it. And I hope you enjoy it. And I hope you'll be back next Tuesday. We will be here.
All right, everybody. See you later. Read more comics. Have a good time.
Take it easy.
This has been a production of the Pop Culture Squad Network. PopCultureSquad.com. How do you nerd?